On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about VUURs. In this moment, we are free cities. Now, there's not an ellipsis there. It's a hyphen. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal and we like to talk about it. And today we're going to be talking about the 2017 album, In This Moment We Are Free, Cities from VUUR, which is the latest and newest musical project from Dutch singer Anneke Van Giersbergen, who you have a massive crush on.
Well, yeah, for many years now.
Who doesn't, though?
Of course.
If you know about Anneke Van Giersbergen, you probably have a crush on her.
Since The Gathering. Really?
Since the of the Juggalos.
Yeah. I kind of went to one of those, but we know.
Yeah.
That was
a little bit
interesting.
Juggalos. Drink a lot of Faygo?
Not on the outside. Or not on the inside. It was all on the outside. All the Faygo I drank was external.
But wouldn't it end up internal?
Nope, none of it ended up internal. I guess some of it was spray because it was being sprayed onto me from a stage.
So this is the thing that I don't know about Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah.
Do they like guar the audience
with Faygo
with cheap pop?
Yep. Yeah, I was
what
sticky
the fuck?
Sticky with diet root beer for the rest of the night.
What the fuck?
I don't know.
Of course they do. At least if you're going to a guar show, It's like you're getting sprayed with fake blood and probably fake cum and various alien fluids and viscera because they're chainsawing puppets in half on the stage.
But they're not really doing that. Whereas if you go to an Insane Clown Posse, they're the real deal. This is real root. No, this is root beer.
This is real root beer.
Yeah.
We're not claiming it's anything else.
And real cum. Yeah.
No, that's a Rammstein show.
Sorry, you're right.
Didn't that happen at a Rammstein?
Well, there was a giant dick incident on the stage with Rammstein. I remember that.
Okay.
I think that was mostly fire. That was a flaming dick.
I feel like somebody. I mean, it's the other side of the inspirational coin for the song "I Ejaculate Fire" from Death Clock. Of course, the more appropriate one is "I Come Blood"
right.
from Cannibal Corpse. Anytime I get a chance when I'm somewhere, if someone's handed me a proverbial aux cord, if I'm on Discord, for example, with my buddies, and there is they call it jukebot, because I forgot what a jukebox was because I'm 24.
And you don't go to bars.
Yeah, but it's called jukebot, and you can tell it to play songs, and it'll be like, jukebot, play this, and it will find a link to that on YouTube. So every single time jukebot play "I Come Blood" live, because you need the live version, because you need Corpse Grinder going, "This is a song about shooting blood from your cock."
Otherwise it's not as good.
It's not
the song is fine, but it's just not the same unless you have Corpse Grinder yelling that at the beginning of it.
Especially since you can't understand the lyrics, people won't know what the song is about. If they're not familiar with Cannibal Corpse, how will they know that the song is about shooting blood from your cock? So it's a very important part of the process of playing that song. But anytime I can, I try to play that.
It's almost like going to a country music show, going to a Cannibal Corpse show. You know, here's a song I wrote about.
They tell you what the song is about.
Here's a song about love and loss.
This is a song about shoving a meat hook up someone's ass.
Oh, meat hook sodomy. Yeah, that was at my wedding. We played that. It was.
So they have a new album that is out or coming out. Cannibal Corpse does. And the album art is probably the most disgusting it's been in quite a long time,
really?
I think.
Sweet.
Their last album before this was just sort of a general kind of slasher thing. And then there was Skeletal Domain, which was more of like a big landscape piece.
Right.
This is kind of back to sort of classic, really gross Cannibal Corpse shit.
Right.
It's fucking nasty looking. I don't like looking at it. I'm not really keen on Cannibal Corpse, generally speaking, other than like I'm aware of them. I listen to them every once in a while because
it's fun. Yeah.
It's fun, and they're the most popular death metal band in the world. But it's like it's kind of not my thing,
right?
For some reason. I tend to like.
Might just be too standard for you.
That might be it. I tend to like the weirder, more progressive stuff a little bit. But there's stuff that's more meat and potatoes that I do enjoy. But I think Cannibal Corpse is kind of the most meat and potatoes death metal that you can get, which might be why.
Which is funny because your personal diet
is
very meat and potatoes,
extremely bland. I like meat and potatoes of any kind.
Any kind of potatoes or any kind of meat. Either way.
Yeah, either way, it's a win-win. But how have you been? I know we've both had kind of uneventful weeks, but also at the very least, we've had uneventful weeks in our free time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been
speaking. You can hear now, though.
I can hear. Yeah, like I was just telling you before you hit the record button there. I went to the doctor. I got a flu shot. I've never gotten a flu shot before.
Never gotten a flu shot
in
before.
47 years, I've never gotten a flu shot.
Why?
I don't know. It just never dawned on me.
Come on.
Yeah, and he said, "Do you want a flu shot?" You know, that's my doctor.
Your doctor's very, very low energy.
Yeah,
he compliments you well.
Yeah. So I'll have a flu shot. Do you want to get your ears cleaned out? And then I got my ears cleaned out, and it's weird. I can hear like a whole new spectrum. Like you look at your graphic EQ, like the right quarter of the EQ meant nothing to me.
It was
until now,
just completely empty.
I can hear crispy sounds and
crispy. You can hear vocal fry and
this is a weird thing too. Is you're working in our personal studio, so you're slobbing it down, and you got your face up against the microphone. I can hear my whiskers across the microphone now. I couldn't hear it before.
You have it that close up to your face?
Sometimes. Well, I'm tired in the morning. Okay. Sometimes I'm leaning on the microphone just to stay upright.
Generally, I try to keep a closed fist between myself and my SM7. I guess, so you're talking about when you're just kind of
I'm scrolling
looking at the screen and you're leaning towards the mic. Okay.
Not when I'm speaking. I don't talk in the microphone. I used to do that when I call bingo, which is gross because
that's probably a pretty gross microphone.
Yeah, considering the people I worked with. I love them all. They're great people, but they're people who work in a dive bar. And
it wasn't exactly that.
No.
I don't know if is the grain hopper, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been in there.
Really?
I've not been in most of the bars in Minot.
Sure.
In general, what bars have I been to? I have been to.
Now for Minot talk.
Now for the bars of Minot, North Dakota. I've been to Sports on Tap, regrettably.
Kicked out,
and I got kicked out. Yeah, I wasn't banned from it. I just got kicked out.
You were
security
from
guard.
Premises, yeah.
I wasn't. They didn't escort me away from the premises. He handed me to someone who could take me home. The security guard was very polite.
Sure, that's good.
I think I was overserved and needed to go home, and that's all that happened there. I've been there. I've been. What's the one down by Arrowhead? What's that bar?
Down by Arrowhead?
With the drive-through liquor store?
Oh, talk about the Lamplighter.
The Lamplighter, yeah. I've been to the Lamplighter.
Yeah.
That's the bar I've been to the most times, which is kind of awful for me because it's also probably the loudest bar in town.
Which is weird. It shouldn't be. I don't know why it is.
Because it's main.
I guess it is kind of collegey.
Its primary demographic is hockey players.
Yeah.
Who listen to extremely loud music. I mean, I listen to very loud music, but it's like hockey players will listen to music.
Volume.
Will listen to music that is not very loud, very loudly. Their primary demographic is college sports, and so that's why I ended up there most of the time because my roommate. When I was in college, was friends with all of the athletes because he was, would do play-by-play and stuff for all the different sports and everything. And so I would just end up there and he would know everybody and I would know nobody. So I would just kind of sit there at the table quietly with my drink. I have concert earplugs that just cut off like the top 20, 30 decibels.
Yeah.
but still let you hear everything else. So generally speaking, when I've worn them at concerts, I can actually hear the music better.
Sure.
Because I don't get all of the rest of the, bullshit.
Right. Tearing at your eardrum.
Yeah. And it also lets me hear people who are trying to talk to me better. Mm-hmm. And I would wear those at that bar because it was so fucking loud. And I can very easily suffer from like sensory overload.
Sure.
Like
so can I.
There's too much sound. There's too many people trying to talk to me. Mm-hmm. And so I would just have those in and generally have a better time if I remembered to wear them because God, that place is too loud. Where else have I been?
So those two.
I've been to the Blue Rider.
Oh, sure.
That place is probably my favorite just as far as the vibe because it's very small and most of the people who go there are college professors.
Right.
Or weirdly enough, a large portion of Minot's like art punk scene, which is small but fairly present.
Up until recently, it was owned by a college professor.
Yeah.
But he sold it. Walt Peel.
Yeah. I'm just trying to... There's a noise. Is that from my bathroom?
No, that's the vents. That's the heater.
Is it?
Sounds like it to me.
No, I think it's from my bathroom.
Do you need to go check?
I'm gonna go see if my toilet's running or something, and then also I'm going to shut the window in my kitchen.
Okay.
Because I opened it because it was too hot in here, and now it's probably going to be too cold in here.
Just having temperature issues.
Yeah.
So let's see. What are the other bars in Minot?
My toilet wasn't running. It's just noises from the pipes.
Just noises from the pipes. That's all it is. I think I've been to every bar in Minot. No. What? Yes? No.
And now from Minot, North Dakota, noises from the pipes.
That's what they call Hissfest.
Noises from the pipes.
Yeah.
You've been to probably every bar.
I may have. I mean, there's a couple I've been to maybe once or twice. You remember me telling you about me and Parsons trying to hit every bar in
one night.
In one day. It was
one day.
We had to start at 3:30 in the afternoon to get this done. And we were done by like 10:30 at night.
Did you do it?
Oh, no. At the time, there were 35 liquor licenses in town.
How many are there now? It's probably more than that.
Maybe more, maybe less. It's hard to say.
Fluctuated a little bit.
Well, there's a finite amount that the city will allow.
Yeah.
Not for a beer. If you have a beer license, those are infinite. But
sometimes it's grown, I think. They probably added some and maybe removed some. I don't know.
Right. If a bar goes under, they auction off their license.
Yeah.
We got to do 27 bars.
Jesus Christ.
That's 27 drinks in one day. I mean, some of those were like frou-frou.
Yeah, small, probably low.
Here's the shot of pucker. Yeah.
But,
yeah.
See, what else? Where else have I gone? I went to the
Blind Duck?
No, not the Blind Duck. Bootleggers. I went to Bootleggers.
I went in there once. I had to pay my loan shark.
I thought it was going to be quieter because you had to pay your loan shark.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be quieter because my sister mentioned it was kind of a quieter bar. And then we went there on the night they had like a honky tonk band playing. And it was like, guys, I've also
like Friday
been
at the Rocking Horse.
I've been to the Rocking Horse. Yeah. That was the same night, actually. Okay. We went from one country show to another country show. Unintentionally. I think I've been to the Rocking Horse a couple of times.
What's sad is you haven't been old enough to have attended any of the strip bars we had in town. We had 3, went 4 actually at one point.
I've never been to a strip club.
You've never been to a strip club?
No, I
Bucket list.
I don't have any desire to go to a strip club. I've grown up with the internet is the problem.
I suppose.
I've never
It's so much different in person though.
I suppose, but it's like I've never had a desire because it's like why am I here? Well, so I can drink and see tits. I can do that from the comfort of my own home where no one else has to see me.
Who was it? What's his name? Yeah, I think I brought up that joke before. That Dan Mintz said,
Oh, Tina Belcher.
Tina Belcher, yeah.
Because they sound, he does not change his voice whatsoever to do Tina.
Not.
That's exactly what he sounds like.
Right, because he was talking about how, kids have it so easy nowadays. When we wanted to masturbate growing up, we had to find the Sears catalog and open it up to the... Now you can just go straight to Sears.com. Yeah.
I think maybe I've told this story that my dad told me when he was a teenager. At some point, they were staying at their friend. They're a family friend of theirs. They were staying. They had a farm, I think, and they were helping out for the summer. Him and his older brother. Well, they were staying in the basement, and it was just the ceiling was open. They didn't have like a what would you call it, a furnished ceiling or whatever?
Sure.
It
wasn't a drop ceiling.
It wasn't a drop ceiling. It was the boards. And then it was the floor of the ground floor.
They had rafters.
Yeah. And so my dad and his brother taped some nudie mags to the ceiling. And there was something going on. And I think one of Carolyn's daughters saw them, ran up, told mom. And they were like, oh, shit. Oh, God, we're hosed, guys. And then, did I call her Carolyn?
Yeah.
Is that her name?
Well,
Carol. Her name is Carol, not Carolyn. It might be Carol. I don't know if that's actually her full name. In any case, she calls them upstairs and she's just like, boys, I've only got one thing to say to you. I don't like tape on my ceilings. Carol's awesome.
I don't like tape.
I don't like tape on my ceilings.
Peels off the veneer.
That was you mentioned my temperature problems.
Sure.
I showed you, I stuffed cotton balls in the vent of my bathroom, which is the only vent in this apartment, by the way. So it's a good thing. What?
There's going to be it's the only vent. Right. This has got floorboard heat.
Yeah, this has got floorboard heat. And so that's the only vent in my apartment.
So, of course, there's no hot air being through. It's just regular air being circulated.
Yeah, it's just air from the outside world. Normally,
that's why.
Most of the year, it is air from in here that would circulate out. Or at the very least, whatever cold air might be coming in is not enough to make that big of a difference.
Sure.
But it has been below zero for about a week now. And is going to continue to be below zero until next week.
Yeah, until Monday.
For our air temperatures here, our wind chill is Our wind chill is much colder than that.
45 below tomorrow night?
Yeah, something like that. I also think it's funny when you say the word wind chill in front of someone from like the deep south.
Sure. And
they have no idea what the fuck that is. Or someone from California.
You mean like the window on the front of your car?
Nah, they have no idea what the hell wind chill is.
Yeah.
And it to their credit, the way you actually calculate wind chill, I think, is kind of esoteric and weird because mathematically what it is, as I understand, because like they will say like it's what the temperature it feels like.
Sure.
That means nothing in mathematics. That's just an easy way of explaining it. What it is from what I remember from a climate class I took in college is wind chill is a measure of how fast your body heat dissipates.
Right.
And
how fast any object in that temperature loses its temperature and becomes the temperature of the air.
Yeah. So it's like when it's 31 below, it's 9 below for your air temperature and the wind is blowing 15 miles an hour and the wind chill is 40 below.
Sure.
That means
if you have a glass of water sitting out there, it would take a certain amount of time at 9 below to turn to ice.
Yeah. And it's the same if the wind is blowing at it, it's the same amount of time as if it were actually
30 below zero
or something like that. I am the worst person in the world to be explaining this.
I think that was good. That worked. Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I stuffed my vent full of cotton balls because
you had wind chill in your shower.
Yeah, that was the only thing I could think of to keep cold air from blasting into my bathroom. I went to take a shit yesterday and it was 45 degrees or something. It felt like 40. I stood up when I was standing up, shoving the cotton balls in the vent. Yeah. My hands were like freezing.
Wow.
There was ice forming from the condensation. I'm sure if I just let things go, there would have been icicles like beginning. Neat. Like there were water droplets there, of course. and they would have turned into icicles in my bathroom. It's just insane. But the cotton balls seem to be working incredibly well.
Nice.
So I've been able to keep my bathroom door open. Except I will close it for a small period in the morning because for some reason, whenever I get done showering, if I leave the bathroom door open, my cat will jump in the tub and sit and play in whatever water is left in the tub.
Right. And I like it too.
It's weird.
I like that if you keep that door shut, then it keeps the heat from your shower in. Then you don't freeze while you're brushing your teeth. And
I guess. Well, then it becomes so humid in there too.
Sure.
So I keep the door open. That's some of it. Anyway, my morning routine is
digress.
My morning routine revolves around my weird cat. That's it. I feel like that's every cat owner. Cats all have these little idiosyncrasies that make them all unique and weird.
Mm-hmm. You have a weird pussy.
I guess dogs do weird shit too.
Oh, they do.
Plenty of dogs do very weird shit. I feel like I have a reputation as like a cat person when really I'm an animal person. Like I love cats and dogs equally. I just have a cat because I don't have the patience or the energy to have a dog.
Right, because that takes a lot of attention, having a dog.
I adore dogs. I love dogs. If I'm out in the world and I see a stranger with a dog and the dog seems like really friendly and they're like, you can pet him, that makes my fucking week. I will be like happier for the entire rest of the week because like I got to pet a dog. It's great.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. They're amazing animals. It's just I don't think I would be a good dog owner. I don't think I would be. Or at the very least, the effort I would have to put forth to be a good dog owner would be prohibitive.
Sure.
So yeah. In any case, let's talk about this here album that we have. It's In This Moment, not the band In This Moment.
Right, but the album is In This Moment We Are Free.
Cities. It keeps on making me think of the Neil Breen film I Am Here ... Now.
It's an extra point of ellipsis.
Yeah, he put four periods there. Just to make it more dramatic.
Sure.
Because everyone knows when you extend an ellipses, that's extra drama.
We need to watch a Breen film at some point.
We do need it. I mean, it'll be easy enough to watch Fateful Findings because that's on Amazon, I think. But his other movies are a bit harder to find.
Sure. With the twins, one of which is Kale.
Twisted Pair.
Yeah,
I feel like that would be weird for me watching that. It's weird anytime. There was an episode of My Brother and Me where the McElroys were talking about the vegetable, but they kept on saying the word kale over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to fall asleep to that and you're not used to people saying your name because it's a fairly rare name, it's really weird. It made me uncomfortable. So I feel like that movie, in addition to how weird it is in general, would weird me out a little bit.
So we'll have to get a copy of it.
Before we get back to the album, I do think it was. I mentioned because I saw something online. It was like, "What if Neil Breen is Q?" What if Neil Breen has been Q this whole time?
He was played by John Delancey. Wait a minute.
You were making a
Star Trek.
Oh, I thought you were making. Okay, yeah, that's who Tom Delancey. I knew the name. Yeah. I couldn't remember where I knew the name from. I thought you were making a James Bond reference.
Oh no, I wasn't. No. There you go.
Before, Tom Delancey, Star Trek.
John
that Q. No. What if not?
John? Yeah.
What? So, do you know what I'm saying though? I'm not talking about Q as in from Star Trek.
QAnon.
I'm talking about Q as in QAnon.
Yeah.
What if that has been Neil Breen this whole time? Because so many of his movies would make so much sense in context of that. Because like he's all about like his movies are all about vast conspiracies and like violent ends to those conspiracies where people commit mass suicide or he murders 300,000 people he doesn't like. It's Neil Breen is a strange man.
Very strange realtor.
Very strange realtor / architect from Las Vegas, Nevada.
/ movie director, producer, actor.
Who makes movies.
Yes.
He's a filmmaker. These are real professional Hollywood movies that he directs in Las Vegas. Driving around the desert with his cans of tuna. Okay. Sorry about the Neil Breen diversion.
So this album...
Ladies and gentlemen, from Minot, North Dakota, the Neil Breen diversion.
The Neil Breen diversion.
So Anneke Van Giersbergen is a Dutch singer. She's been doing her thing for since the 90s. I didn't do too much research here.
Yeah. We're the same age, she and I.
You and Anneke Van Giersbergen.
For a month.
Star-crossed lovers from afar, even though she's never met you.
No, and never will.
Hey, don't say that.
No, it's fine. It would be weird.
It would
be weird for all of us.
It'd be weird for everybody.
Yeah.
No, so she's been around for a while. I mostly know her for doing many collaborations with Devin Townsend. And this is her latest band. After she was doing a lot of solo work, she wanted to get back into, I think actually fairly inspired by Devin Townsend, wanted to get back into doing some
like
more
really
metal
hard rock
stuff.
metal stuff. Yeah.
The songwriting you could probably describe for VUUR, you could probably describe as progressive metal or just kind of new wave metal. There's kind of a like there is the new wave of American heavy metal that's been going on for like 20 years at this point, because it's not been like a very hard thing. It's just been like sort of a soft, not in musical tone necessarily, but like you have sort of new wave, like there's the new wave of American heavy metal bands, but you can sort of include in the sound, you've got bands like Lamb of God and like Gojira,
right?
Bands that don't fit into a genre necessarily, but are like extreme metal bands.
And it's not, you couldn't call it post metal.
Yeah, it's not different enough to warrant that, but it's just like it's heavy metal, but harder.
Right.
You don't want to call it just heavy metal because then you don't want to confuse it with tonally with stuff like Iron Maiden or whatever.
Right.
Anyways, this is a sort of progressive-ish type metal band. And I mean, the biggest selling point, I think, with this band is Anneke Van Giersbergen's voice and singing.
Which is fantastic.
She's an incredibly talented singer. Although I will say, one of the things I wanted, I would like to hear her push herself a little bit more. Like, I mean, I think it's one of those things because she strikes me as a very highly trained singer. And I think there are times where like people that are very highly trained as singers won't necessarily push themselves out of their comfort zones.
Right.
Even if their comfort zones are very wide and incredibly awesome. I would love to, since she's doing, metal, I would love to hear her just push herself just a little bit. I want to hear what it sounds like when she belts.
Yeah, when she's straining at some point.
A little bit.
She doesn't strain on this.
She doesn't. It's very comfortable sounding for her, which is amazing because there's a lot of range here, and she has a very nice voice and a very wide range. But I would like to hear her push herself a little bit. That's one of the things I liked about the new West Opeth album. Is like, even though it is. Michael Ackerfeld's not doing any screaming or anything. He's pushing his clean singing into places he hasn't gone before and really belting some stuff out and going for stuff he normally wouldn't have gone for if it was their typical back and forth between his stupidly deep growls and just his regular, very deep singing voice. I'm Michael Ackerfeld.
That reminds me, somebody on the Twitter, so, we were talking about music, or I was looking at the thread about music, and somebody said like, well, you talking about this band or like what, Opeth? Who the hell listens to Opeth? Do they have fans? Mistake on this guy's part, because people found out that there are fans.
People assume that like the metal community is very small for some reason.
Right.
Like, I guess if you fracture it out to any particular band's fan base, it would seem small in comparison to the fan base of some other more popular artist. But there's a lot of metalheads out there.
A lot, yeah.
There's a lot more, especially when you like in America, just because we have a very large population, generally speaking. Sure, it's a much smaller percentage, but you go over to Europe, metalheads make up by and large a bigger percentage of the music listening population. If you go to Finland, for example, that's a very large portion of their music scene is metal. Black metal bands will like be number 3 on their national charts.
So they actually have an MBPC ratio.
Which is, what is that?
Metal bands per capita.
Oh, yeah. Which is, I think it's the highest in the world in Finland.
It's Finland. I think Iceland is a close second.
Yeah. It's some of the healthiest, happiest places in the world also has the most metalheads. I think perhaps one could draw some connections there. Maybe. Maybe. That's just my thinking. Maybe metal makes you a happier person.
Well, sure. Like it's like depression makes you a better comedian. Sure.
I won't say you're wrong. Yeah, I feel like most comedians are mentally unwell people.
Right. Yeah. And if you're a Finnish entrepreneur of some sort, you're happy, you're doing your job, you're meeting with people, it's great, and you can think of in the back of your head, after all this week, after I've done all this work, I'm going to put on corpse paint, I'm going to put on a bracelet that's made out of nails. I'm gonna worship Satan for a bit,
and we're gonna just gonna get all
let loose,
just gonna let loose. I did see a comic once that was it was one of those Poland ball comics.
Yeah.
Where it was all the countries represented as little balls that have their flags on them.
Right.
And it was the Nordics basically making fun. Like it was like an Office Space parody. And Sweden was the boss and was like constantly shitting on all the other countries and like making fun of them for how unproductive they are and blah, 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 blah. And then it hits 5 o'clock on Friday and like the tie like flies off and a bottle of vodka comes out of nowhere. And the Sweden and all the other Nordic countries just go fucking insane. And then it's Monday morning at 5 o'clock and he just wakes up just like, ugh, and then puts the tie back on and goes back to work. That's how they do it in Europe.
It is.
Even if they don't work as much as we do in the US, they just so much drinking. We think we drink a lot in the United States.
North Dakota.
We're like number 50 nationally speaking.
On national level.
On the as far as nations that drink the most.
As far as
all of Eastern Europe has us beat by a country mile.
As far as per capita in the United States, statewide.
North Dakota. Yeah, we drink a lot, but as far as the United States in general,
right,
we don't drink nearly as much as almost all of Europe.
Right.
They drink a lot more than we do.
I mean, you think about all the different countries. We talked about this last time, didn't we? All the different countries that call the same thing in their language the water of life.
This wasn't at some point we've talked about this. Yeah. Is the original name for most distilled spirits is akavite.
Like vodka.
Yeah,
akavit.
It's the water
Poland,
of life.
In Poland, it's I can't remember what it is in Polish, but it translates to the same thing.
That's what they called the first in Scotland. That's what they called the first whiskeys.
Sure,
was water of life. It's just distilled spirits were called that because when they first started distilling spirits, you weren't meant to drink it. It was like it was a byproduct of perfume production in the Middle East.
It's perfume.
And then they started and then it was medicine.
Sure.
And then eventually it was just like, no, this is just the thing you drink because it gets you fucked up.
Right. But I've noticed I get fucked up with this. Also, if I drink the other stuff that's just regular water, not the water of life, I get fucking dysentery.
Yeah.
Whereas this,
well, that was beer before. That was people drink table beer, which is a negligible amount of alcohol, but enough to kill any of the bad shit.
Sure.
And then you've got grog, which was, of course, for sailing on the seas.
Rum.
You would mix in because
one part rum, 7 part water.
Yeah, because algae would fucking get into your barrels.
Right.
And so that would clean it and also take the edge off of the algae flavor. And then they'd also maybe, squeeze some fruit into it. Anyway, oh God, we can't We can't stop talking about shit not related to this album for some reason.
Well, it's because we don't see other people at all. I mean, at this point,
true.
we don't talk about talk to other. Hey, what have you been doing the last week? Little shit that I haven't been able to tell anybody.
Basically, yeah. Trying to get we're talkative people.
We are.
So we're getting it out of our system.
And I did notice, by the way, this is going to sound like me whining and feeling entitled.
Okay.
I don't use the Facebook really.
Yeah.
At all. I mean, I do log on once a day because I have to, because our powers to be post news stories and we got to read news on the air. Yeah. And sometimes we got to read those news stories from our Facebook account, radio station Facebook account. We had to log in our own Facebook account to get to that.
Yes.
So I'll log on to that. And this last week, I saw that a friend of mine got like dozens and dozens of happy birthdays on Facebook. I'm like, oh, that's great.
It was you.
They didn't. No, it was not me. It was somebody different whose birthday is 6 days after mine.
Okay.
We got lots of happy birthdays. And I was so glad
You got none.
I got zero. I got zero happy birthdays.
Well, that's probably because you've been inactive and deleted accounts and done stuff like
I'm inactive, yes, but I haven't deleted the account.
I guess
it's inactive. And the person who got the dozens and dozens of happy birthdays, love her very much. She's great, but she's been dead for 10 years.
Oh, no. So a dead person got more happy birthday wishes on Facebook,
which I hope they give her happy birthdays forever because she was fantastic.
Yeah.
But still, it
stings a little bit.
It stings a little
bit. I think most of the people who know it, okay, not most of the people who know you.
Yeah.
But at least all the people that we work with, I can recall wished you happy birthday.
Yeah, like on the text message
directly.
Sure. Or in person. Yeah.
Or in person. So it's
that's fine. I was just making a minor note of this. It's no big deal.
I understand.
I just feel like it's a little perplexed at the back of my head.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting to the because I'm going to be 25 here in a little over a month. And it's like my 22nd birthday was already so now I'm at the point where nobody gives a shit that it's my birthday anymore. And that's from here on out. That's the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Is your birthdays don't matter anymore.
Right.
Basically, you still people will get you some stuff, but it's not going to be a big deal.
That eventually stops too.
Yeah, that will that will stop. I
didn't get any presents for my birthday. I got the presents of my family and people that I cared about and phone calls and stuff, and that's all I needed. And I got everything I wanted.
Yeah. I think also birthdays become less of a big deal because when you're an adult, a lot of times you just get shit that you need.
Sure, certainly.
Yeah, I just most of the last year has really been a lot of me going I want this thing. I'm just gonna get it.
Can't believe you broke your paddle already.
Yeah, I broke it in half. No, it's a snap button, so I took it down so it wasn't taking up so much space. Also, back. We're just gonna keep not talking about the album.
Okay.
You see the bar over there?
I do. Yeah.
The weightlifting bar. I will, if I remember, use that and pretend to paddle with it. Because it weighs 15 pounds.
10 probably.
10. Yeah. So I'm just trying to get some activity that will also be useful for me.
Sure. Also you'll notice that's kind of get some threads on the ends of those.
Yeah.
If you wanted to.
Look over there.
Oh, look. Oh, wow.
Yeah. I've had those for a while. I just don't use them.
Man, yeah. You can put 5 pounds on each side.
You
could double the weight.
I have another. If you look, there's 3 more 5-pound weights.
Don't hurt yourself.
Yeah, no, I have a big gut and scrawny arms. I have me too. What is colloquially referred to as a goblin body.
A goblin body, yeah.
Or perhaps I have a Gamorrean body. I'm too tall to have a goblin body. I'm a Gamorrean guard from Star Wars.
Right.
Although they kind of have big arms,
and big jaws.
And big jaws too. And the tusks, which is what made me think of orcs, but the classic first edition D&D orcs where they had the pig noses and everything.
Sure.
That's how they that's if you see any Japanese media with orcs in them, they always have the pig noses.
Right.
Anyway, Anneke Van Giersbergen.
We're doing the ladies of February, by the way.
Yeah, it's female February.
Metal.
It's the ladies of the ladies.
Ladies.
The ladies of metal in female February. I had a beer before this. I'm just like, I don't know why I don't know why my tolerance is so awful, even though I like drink every night. Not heavily, but
right.
like I'll have
a little bit. You'll have a drink.
I have some alcohol on a regular basis, and my tolerance is awful. I guess I haven't eaten since lunch, but
I first discovered Anneke in the Gathering back in the early 90s.
Thank you for taking over.
And I thought it was fantastic. I mean, she took over from, it was basically, he was a death metal. It was basically a death metal band.
Wow.
And
that must have been a big transition.
Yeah, it was. And I think it was because, I might be wrong, because the vocalist died.
Oh, wow.
He had like lung cancer and he passed away. They're like, what are we going to do? And she had been singing backing vocals for a long time. They're like, why don't you just do all the vocals?
Yeah, we'll just do a new thing.
And then they did an album that was kind of like their thing. And then the album after that, How to Measure a Planet, was like one of my favorite albums. I mean, you listen to it and I thought, should I bring How to Measure a Planet? And then I listened to it all the way through because it's great. This is not in any way, shape, or form a heavy metal album.
It's like a hard rock or not even that.
It's like an atmospheric rock kind of thing.
Okay. I mean, maybe I could, but yeah,
it's really good.
We're trying to do metal, but it's not always a hard rule, but no. Still, no. I'm glad you brought this.
Yeah, I like this. I listened to this not long after it came out a couple of times, and I don't know why I didn't go back to it. But I thought, I remember listening to this, and I want to go back to it. I listened to it like 3 times this week, and the more I listened to it, the more I really enjoyed it.
I found that too. I've only listened to it twice. Because I forgot what we were doing until this morning.
Right.
But the first time I was kind of nonplussed by it. I was a little bored.
Yeah, no, I can totally hear that because I mean they don't really think outside the box.
Yeah, like
with the musicianship of it.
Wikipedia,
they're good at it. But.
Yeah, Wikipedia calls it a progressive metal album, and I'm just like, not really.
Yeah,
they're not really doing anything different here.
Right.
But it's competent and it sounds good. It's just that it was a little safe.
Sure.
It's just like it's enjoyable. Really, I mean, the star of the show is Anneke.
Absolutely.
But
the musicians are very competent.
Yeah.
Very good.
And she knew all of them from her solo career and I think a little bit from
the previous band she was in.
Previous band and that sort of thing. And so she brought them, she was like, hey, I want to do some heavy stuff. And the Wikipedia page mentioned specifically that she was kind of inspired by having toured with Devin and having done so many collaborations with him. And you can kind of hear, I think another thing on this is the production fails them a little bit, is where you can hear moments where they're trying to do the Townsend style wall of sound, but it doesn't quite have enough. It doesn't quite have those last 30 layers out of the 20 it already has.
Devin did not produce this. So.
Yeah. And I think it would benefit from something like I feel like most of Anneke's tracks were single tracked. I feel like if they were double tracked,
but obviously she had a lot of harmonies she did with herself. And
That's true.
Things of that nature. But
they were planning on having a backing vocalist and they didn't.
Right.
And they just had Anneke back herself up.
Well, right, because the woman who was originally there for doing backing, she left the band.
But I think it would have benefited, especially for like the progressive metal aspect. It would have benefited from some more effects on her voice. And it's like, and she doesn't need effects on her voice because she's an amazing singer, but just for the texture of it, not for making up for any lack of talent or ability, just for the texture of having more interesting stuff going on. I would like to hear that. Like I don't know if they're planning on making another album. I hope they are.
Yeah.
But that's something.
I believe they are.
That's something that I would like to hear is just more stuff going on, more effects, more I want to hear them take some risks and do something a bit more boundary pushing.
It is a very safe album.
Yeah, this is a very safe album. It's enjoyable, but it's just I can, while listening to it, I can hear all the points where I'm like, I know how to make this better from a from a listener standpoint,
from an armchair,
I personally
yeah,
don't know how to. I don't, I can't play guitar and I cannot sing very well. So I personally couldn't do better, but I have ideas,
right,
of ways that I think it could become so much greater than what it is, even though what it is already really good.
I was just making me think of that scene from Airplane. You've seen Airplane. Please tell me you've seen Airplane.
I haven't seen Airplane.
All right. Well, you need to watch Airplane.
I know.
It's a stupid movie. My kids didn't get it. Like, you see just a long line of stupid jokes. I'm like, yeah, it is.
Well, because is that a Zucker Brothers movie?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what all their movies are. It's that's what a lot of comedy movies from that era were. It's just a big long line of stupid jokes. Sort of a Mel Brooks type thing.
Right.
Of just like, we're going to string a bunch of gags together and it's a movie.
Right. Well, it was sort of a joke that the co-pilot of the airplane was not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, even though it was clearly Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And the kid was in the cockpit, wanted to see the cockpit. He's sitting, he says, "Oh, Kareem, my dad says you're a bum." And Kareem says, "You tell your dad to get his ass out on the court and bust his hump every day."
But I'm not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Yeah. I suppose your kids probably wouldn't know who Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is.
No, they wouldn't know, yeah.
I'm surprised I know who that is. I don't care about sports, and I wasn't alive during the time when he was.
And you love history, so
he's an important person.
Yes,
I know a little bit about a lot of things. Do you think this slaps?
Yeah, it slaps.
I'd say so as well.
Yeah,
I would say, if you just were listening to it without Anneke's voice, you would almost expect this to have, the first voice that came to my mind, if I were just listening to the instrumental tracks that I would place over it, the first voice that came to my mind was Randy Blythe.
Really?
I don't know why.
You think this sounds like Lamb of God?
It's not that it sounds like Lamb of God, but some of the instrumentation is heavy enough that I could picture someone with, someone doing screamed vocals over it, and then switching off maybe and doing some clean vocal, which I don't think Randy really does clean vocals, but I can picture someone doing some, doing a back and forth here.
Sure.
But
maybe they could have led Randy Blythe, because Randy had to have done some time in Holland, at some point.
No, that was the Czech Republic.
That was the Czech Republic, right?
I don't remember how long he was actually there, because I think that got that relitigated or something.
Something like that.
I don't remember. I remember
he threw himself at the mercy, didn't he? I mean, he's like, yeah, okay, let's get this over with.
Yeah, well, because I don't think they had the money to keep on.
Sure.
Fighting
an international court battle? No.
Yeah, for something they should not have been responsible for.
Sure.
But
he was kind of responsible.
Kind of, but in the same sense that shit happens at a metal show sometimes. Like it was a tragedy that somebody died, but I feel like pinning manslaughter on the band was a bit too far.
Sure.
A bit too much, but. In any case, I also thought Anneke Van Giersbergen's voice, because I haven't listened to a lot of just her.
Yeah.
I've heard her on Devin Townsend stuff, but I haven't listened to a lot of just her. She reminded me of, there was a singer named Aaliyah Stanbridge or Aaliyah Starbridge, we've talked about her a little bit before. She was in a relationship with the lead guitarist for Swallow the Sun, which is a Finnish band. She passed away in 2016.
Sure.
And the album that she did with, I think it's Juho. It's a Finnish name. I can't remember.
It's a chocolate drink. Yeah.
Yeah. The album that they did together, I've listened to, and her voice kind of reminded me. They have similar singing styles. So that's just something that came to mind. I feel like I'd mention. I looked at a score and I didn't write it down. The reception for this album was kind of mixed.
Sure.
And I mean, we've sort of echoed that sentiment a little bit. This is not bad, but it's also, it could be better.
Could be better.
Do the Wonder Woman thing, the meme, the Pedro Pascal meme.
Yeah.
This album is good, but it could be better.
Yeah.
What's your favorite song on here?
I think Martyr and Saint.
Martyr and
Is that
the Martyr and the Saint,
yeah,
which
Martyr
is
and the Saint.
Beirut.
Right.
The song about so the reason why it's
city-based.
called
Yeah.
In This Moment We Are Free Cities is every song is one that Anneke wrote specifically inspired by a city that she has visited while touring. And the one that I wrote down was Sail Away, which is Santiago, Chile.
Sure, that's a great song.
I like the riff in that song.
Yeah.
There's a really good main riff in that one. There's a lot of pretty solid riffs on here too.
Very solid, yeah.
Very solid riffs. I just want a bit more.
Sure.
Just push it a little bit further. That's all I wanted out of this. Push it. We've been dilly-dallying a lot on this episode, so we're gonna get right into bestowing a medal upon this like Maz Kanata to Chewbacca.
Because I would love to hear better from them. You're right. I think it's a great album, and I will listen to it again.
It's it's a solid first album for them as a group together.
It's a silver.
As musicians, this is far from any of their first albums, but as them recording together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will echo that sentiment. It's a silver from me. I'm excited to hear something from them in the future, and I want to see them grow and push themselves. Next week, we've talked about this before, going to be doing Underneath by Code Orange.
Oh, right.
Which is their latest album. I think it came out in 2020.
You played me some of that. It is a nightmare. That is great.
It is terrifying. I don't know. I don't have the words to describe it other than industrial metalcore terror. I'm
down with that.
A fucking spooky ass album, and of course it's Female February, and we'd be talking about Code Orange anyway. After I remembered they had a new thing, I was like, let's listen to this. But their lead guitarist and backing vocalist Reba Myers, she performs lead vocals on a couple of songs. But she's also their lead guitarist, and holy shit, they're like my age, and they've been a band for like over a decade.
For 30 years.
For 30 years.
Weird.
Yeah, they've been making music for a long time, and they're fantastic. And I think at one point, I don't know if we did a different album when Jaren was on the podcast, but I tweeted at them and they retweeted me.
Really?
So maybe I'll try that again and see if they'll retweet me again. We'll specifically tweet the episode at them when we make it. But speaking of social media, if you are the type of person that maybe wants to listen on your browser and would like to know when episodes are uploaded, well, you can follow us on Facebook or on Twitter. We always put episode links on those services. Is it a service?
It's a service.
Sure, it's a service.
It's a platform.
It's a platform, sure. We always post new episode links there whenever they come out. Otherwise, we're on... We are on your iOS, Apple.
Sure. We're your podcast app.
We are on your podcast app. We're also on the podcast source for everything, but it's Libsyn's mobile service. If you have an Android like me. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Bronze Medalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.
Clink.